Doja Cat shares snippets from her forthcoming album, Rina Sawayama's debut Sawayama Turns 5, and much more on today's Pop Pod. I am Pop Sam Cam. Thank you so much for joining me. If you can see me on video, it's a slightly different setup today, a little bit more pretty backgrounds than I've been using, a little bit comfier too, so I can sit back and deliver you the pop news that you need to know. If you like this podcast, if you've been enjoying listening to it and you're not yet subscribed, hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to it. And also, if you could rate this 5 stars, that would be much appreciated as well. As always, you can catch me on TikTok or Instagram. If you want to send me any DMs, voice notes with things that you think should be on the podcast, any questions that you want to ask, things that you want me to respond to. Today, I'm going to be playing Bop or Flop with the new music, as well as discussing the headlines and a few album anniversaries too. Let's get into it. First up, Doja Cat has been sharing snippets from her forthcoming album V, which still doesn't have a release date, but seems to have a very distinct style to it. If you listen to these snippets, you can see that it's heavily influenced by the 80s. I'm hearing a lot of Janet Jackson in particular. I want to play you this one called Cards. She also went on Instagram Live to deliver a couple snippets a few days ago as well. I'll play you one from those sessions too.
Boy, let me know, this is can't decide. Could be torn between two worlds and I just can't decide. Which one is leading me to heaven paradise? Baby, I can't hurt you, sure. I'm the jealous type. I'm the jealous type.
I am very excited for new Doja Cat music. It's been a couple years since we got Scarlet, which was obviously heavily in the rap zone. This one sounds like it's a little bit more open to re-entering pop music once again, and I am excited to hear it. We'll have to wait and see when that one comes. An album that we do know is coming is Lil Wayne's The Carter 6, which is due to drop on June the 6th. The reason that I mention this, it's a little bit hip-hop for this podcast, but it's being reported that Miley Cyrus features on the record alongside a Billie Eilish sample. Billie earlier today was basically a feature on the record that then got changed to a sample, and now we've been told that the sample is yet to be cleared. So Billie's involvement in the project is a little bit sketchy, but we do know that Miley will be on it. Finally, it's 5 years of Fiona Apple's album Fetch the Bolt Cutters.
And by that time I hope that you love me.
This was a huge record when it came out, obviously during the middle of the pandemic. Pitchfork gave it a 10 out of 10, and it was one of the most critically acclaimed records of the year. Ended up going on to be nominated for Grammys. The other album that's turning 5 years old is Rina Sawayama's debut, Sawayama. I'm going to discuss that a little bit more after we get into the charts. On the charts today, it's Lady Gaga's Judas that continues to rise, reaching a new peak of 118, which is up 13. It was the biggest gainer on global Spotify yesterday, and it continues to rise with 1.355 million plays. This is after her massive Coachella performance, and it seems that everybody is gravitating towards Judas, although Die With A Smile remains at the top of the global Spotify charts, and Abracadabra continues to rise within the top 20 as well. Let's move on to another Coachella act, Jenny, who continues to rise up the charts with her song Like Jenny.
I think I really like Jenny. Haters didn't really like Jenny, cause they can never ever beat Jenny. But have you ever met Jenny?
It reaches a new peak of number 5 on global Spotify, up by 2. It has 3.934 million streams. This song just keeps getting bigger and bigger, keeps gaining momentum. It wasn't even the single when the album Ruby was released, but people are loving it and it just keeps gaining momentum. I wouldn't be surprised if this one is soon challenging Die With A Smile to be at the top of the global charts. Let's now get into an anniversary of an album that I really love. It's Rina Sawayama's debut, Sawayama. This was such a genre-bending pop record and one of those ones that took a little while to catch on. I remember when this album was first released, it didn't make a lot of noise, but As time went on, pop fans continued to discover this and ended up being so impressed by Rina Sawayama. I really feel like it's this moment that launched her career. I've gone back on this album today to listen to it and revisit it. I do revisit it actually quite a lot, and I'm still so impressed. And the one thing that stands out to me is how she was able to blend together so many sounds and yet make it sound so uniquely her own. There is a lot of like early 2000s influence in this record. Everything from like Britney Spears to Janet Jackson to Evanescence. Like there's some really heavy stuff on this. And then obviously the Elton John reference on Chosen Family as well. So much blended in, and yet it's just so tight, this album. I mean, something like STFU or Dynasty just has this like almost heavy metal feel to it.
Shut the fuck up, 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 shut the fuck up.
I feel like obviously some people would say heavy metal. For me, the reference point is Guitar Hero. That's the closest I've been to being a heavy metal fan. But I hear those references and I love how just like piercing her vocal is on those tracks. And then the fact that that's able to live on the same album as a song like Comme des Garçons, which has a much more electronic dance style to it. And then on the same album as something way more straightforward and pop like Bad Friend.
I'm so good at crashing and making sparks and shit, but then I'm a bad friend.
I think is quite remarkable, and I think that's why people gravitated towards this record so much, because it did sound like nothing that anybody was making at that point. Obviously 2020 was a big year for dance pop. We had Lady Gaga's Chromatica, Jessie Ware's What's Your Pleasure, Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia. So many records like this. This one was different in that it offered so much more to the table, and I think that's why 5 years later it still stands up as being such a diverse, wild ride. I think that she has some fans to gain back after Hold the Girl. Hold the Girl was an album that I liked, not as much as Sawayama, but I think that it had this really like sweet vulnerability to it that this album doesn't always have, apart from on moments like Bad Friend and also Chosen Family too. But I think the fact that it went for more of like a rom-com style version of pop deterred fans who were really excited by this wild ride that was Sawayama, because Hold the Girl wasn't as genre bending as this one. I'm excited to see what she does next though. I think that she would have heard the criticisms, and I wouldn't be surprised if she is also revisiting this album today on its 5-year anniversary to pick out some of the parts that people loved so much about it. But happy 5 years to Rina Sawayama's Sawayama. If you love this record, drop your thoughts about it in the comments and let me know what your favorite song is as well, and whether you think that she can reclaim the glory that she had with this record. Songs that are turning exactly 1 day old today are these ones. I'm going to play a round of Bop or Flop with the songs from New Music Friday. We have new Addison Rae, Lana Del Rey, Post Malone, and Morgan Wallen. And I'm going to go through it all. Let's start with Lana Del Rey's Bluebird.
For your thoughts are small, they can't keep you from leaving. As the wake of my past crashes in.
This is the second track off her new album, The Right Person Will Stay, or it was called The Right Person Will Stay. I believe that she's changed the name to something that we don't know yet. It follows on from last week's Henry Come On. It has the same producers on it, or the same co-writer, with Luke Laird. And I think that this one goes a little bit more into the country stylings that she's been promising with this record. I could have heard Henry Come on something like Blue Bannisters, or even on Chemtrails as well. But this really has a country feel to it. It has this kind of wide open space that it creates. It uses country instruments. It's one of the more bluesy songs that I've ever heard Lana Del Rey on. And she did something towards the end of Chemtrails where she did dabble in the country genre a little bit. And I was always interested to see what she would do if she could pick up from that point. And Bluebird shows me exactly that. I think that Henry Come On, to my taste, is the better song, but I'm more interested by what she's doing on Bluebird because it's something I haven't really heard from her. And I just think her songwriting is always beautiful. I love how she uses the Bluebird as a metaphor for kind of flying away and finding freedom. And I think she portrays that freedom sonically as well within the song. Her voice sounds beautiful. I know that a lot of people want her to go back to something more upbeat, something with a few trap beats thrown in. That's just not going to happen on this record. So we need to let it go and enjoy what is happening with Bluebird. But I think that this is another strong song from her, and I am very excited for this record. The next one is Headphones On by Addison Rae.
Guess I gotta accept the pain. Need a cigarette to make me feel better. Every good thing comes my way, so I still get told up.
This is the 4th single from her forthcoming album, due out on the 6th of June, or so we think. She teased that at her Coachella performance with Arca. Headphones On is definitely more immediate than the last one, High Fashion. I found High Fashion to be quite jarring, even in a good way. I do think that it was the most challenging pop song that she'd released, but this one slides by a lot easier. And what I'm really impressed by with this one is that she becomes a little bit more vulnerable on it, and I think that the lyrics are a little more unique to her. She's telling her story more on this one. She talks about her parents' relationship. She also talks about her status as an it girl within the industry. And it's all wrapped up in this concept of like escapism through music, which I think is a really nice concept, given that she is essentially making escapist pop music and has been for the last couple releases. So giving us a little bit more background into why that music resonates with her, I think is really cool. On top of that, it's got this really cool production to it. If you saw my TikTok about this video, you would have heard me compare it to like early Sugar Babes production, or even like Groove Armada as well. It has this really uniquely European style to it. And that just slides by, coupled with this brilliant melody in the chorus and those lyrics of put my headphones on. I think that she's tapping into a brand of nostalgia, as she does with so much of her imagery, that none of the others are. And that's why it feels kind of fresh to me. And it also feels really authentic. I believe every reference that Addison makes. And I feel like she, by doing an aesthetic that's kind of distasteful, in the fact that this sort of like digicam, like early 2000s aesthetic got to a point where people thought that it was like aesthetically cringe. The fact that she's able to rebirth that and bring it back in a way that feels nostalgic and also very artful as well, I love. And I think that it all comes together perfectly on this track. I really like Headphones On. It's definitely a bop from me. The next one is a track called I Ain't Coming Back by Post Malone. Well, it's actually by Morgan Wallen featuring Post Malone.
But the night I said I'm leaving, I turned into Richard Petty. Broke my heart, so I got even in my 97 Chevy.
If you know me at all, you know that I'm very rarely impressed by what Morgan Wallen does or what he has to say or what he sings about. The reason I put this song in Bop or Flop is not just to tear it apart, it's because I had some help. The last collaboration between Post Malone and Morgan Wallen was obviously a huge song. It went to #1, and I wonder if this one is going to do the same thing. This one just does not have the stickiness that I Had Some Help had. It's got like, I don't know, almost this 80s influence that I know a lot of the latest Morgan music has been going into. And because of that, the chorus just kind of slides by too easily and doesn't do anything that sticks around for me. Post Malone's verse is the best part of it. I'm obviously going to say that. I find Morgan Wallen's voice quite grating. And honestly, I just don't think he's ever done anything that groundbreaking to put him in the position that he is. He's basically a data dumper. The new album is like 37 songs long that comes out next month. And I think that he really needs some editing. And this being like one of the main singles off the record is just unimpressive to me. It's a flop. Next one is Bed to Breakfast by Maren Morris.
Hope you enjoyed your stay, but you can't stay. A 5-star review is expected.
This one is produced by John Ryan, who did a lot of work on the Sabrina Carpenter record, and I can definitely see why he works as a producer on this Maren song. I've been pretty lukewarm about everything that I've heard from Maren Morris off this record so far, and I don't know why, because she has had some really impressive producers on it, from John to Jack Antonoff. And she's technically not really putting a foot wrong. This is good. It's melodic, it's sticky, it gets in your head straight away, and it really showcases her voice beautifully as well. But I guess that I'm just missing a certain like soulfulness that I got from previous Maren records. I thought that her last album was the best thing that she'd ever done. It was very country, very like indebted to that sort of scene. And I know that she's walked away from the country world in a physical kind of sense, but I am missing those injections of country within her music. I think that by going into the pop space, she's kind of blending in with a lot of the pop girls who are doing a similar sort of thing. I do like this. I'm not going to give it a flop at all, but I'm just missing that kind of individuality from Maren right now. Next one is a song called Tell Me I Never Knew That by Caroline and Caroline Polachek. Caroline are an 8-piece kind of indie collective, and they've got Caroline Polachek on vocals on this one to kind of pull it into a different space for Caroline Polachek. This is going to get really tricky. Who hasn't really done this kind of style for a little while. I mean, even on Chairlift, I guess it was more 80s synth pop flavored. So we rarely get to hear her on a ballad of just kind of like acoustics. And I really love it. As per usual, though, her vocals are meandering and detouring and elongated and just take us to somewhere else. And I really like that the structure of this song is really tricky. I'm guessing that's on Caroline, just Caroline's part. And I like that Caroline Polachek leads us through the weeds so easily on this. I think this is a bop. I think it's a super interesting song. The next one is Modern Romance by Chloe Kesha.
Come here often. What you do for work? Honey, please don't cry. I was trying to flirt. You got any siblings? Do you have any pets? Oh, you DJ. It was going so well.
Chloe is a new artist that I've been talking about a lot. She's being produced by Rob Milton, who worked on the Holly Humberstone record, which was one of my favorite pop records of the last couple years. And what I love about this Modern Romance is you can probably tell if you see the cover that this is extremely cheeky and sexually charged. And I think that that is a really hard vibe to pull off if you don't have the charisma and personality very early in your career. Often it takes artists a little while to get there. Well, Chloe's just delivered it straight up. She delivers this kind of spoken word bridge that lets her personality fly through that I love. The melody is tight. She's super cool. I just think that she's done everything right up until this point, and this is another banger from her. It's a bop from me. You should go and check it out. Next one is Wiz the MC with Show Me Love, but this version features Tyla.
$1 million, a million is nowhere near enough. I give it all up. All I need is your try.
Show Me Love has been climbing up the global Spotify charts. Wiz the MC is a South African-born artist, and this has an Afrobeat styling as a result. Obviously, Tyla, also from South Africa, so this matchup makes a lot of sense. I think that Tyla's verse does exactly what it needs to do. It's slippery and warm and comfortable and also a little bit sexy, and I think that Tyla is just in her element on this. Obviously, it's already a hit. I think that this is only going to push it further into hit territory, and I am more than happy for that because I've been following this song for a little while, and I absolutely love it, and I think it's going to be another big year for Afrobeat, but also Afro House as well. Here for it. It's a bop. Next one is a song called Man of the Year by Sam Barber.
You gotta take it easy, go. It doesn't get easier, dear. It's all an empty hole. Fuck it if I ain't the man of the year.
The reason I bring up Sam is he had a couple of hits off his record that he released last year. A lot featuring the artist Anna Graves, but this one sees him on his own. And I just really loved it immediately. The hook of this, the like, guess I'm the fucking man of the year hook, really resonated with me immediately. I like that his voice has like a nice mix of the country classics, but also Zach Bryan, that bluesy kind of gravelly voice that he pulls through really well. I just think it's an expertly written song, and it immediately stood out to me. I listened to New Music Friday front to back every week, And when a song like this just really grabs me, I go in and discover more about the artist. I don't know a lot about Sam, to be honest, but from playing his music, I knew a couple of them because they've been floating around in the Spotify charts. But this one really stood out to me immediately. And if you're a fan of country music, you're going to like this one. Even if you're just a fan of like Bon Iver, Zach Bryan, those kind of voices, you'll be into this. Check it out. If you want more of what I'm listening to, pop Sam Cam's New Music Friday playlist. I update on Spotify and Apple Music every week. Apologies for not doing it last week. I was in the Coachella haze, but I'm out of that and it will be updated today. You can follow that one on Spotify. I've also got some other playlists there. I'd also love for you to recommend new music that I should be listening to. If there's anything that comes to mind, you can comment wherever you're listening to this playlist if it allows it, or you can DM me, or you can reach me on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. That is it for this week. I will be back on Monday with more of the Pop Pod. I appreciate you joining me, and I will see you next week.